Alrighty then. I thought I was recording. Sorry. This is actually just a Coke. There's no rum in it. I'm just having a plain old Coke. I had some Coke with rum in it earlier. And I recorded a video that I wasn't happy with and I deleted it. That's kind of a problem that I have. Just to record videos and go, this video sucks, and delete it. And I recorded the video and I deleted it and I had a drink while I was recording the video. And then after I deleted it, I went, wow, my YouTube folder is getting kind of full. I should move all of my shit over to the backup folder so I make more space on this drive. And then that took like 2 hours. And when I first started it up, I was like, I'll make myself another rum and Coke while I do this. And then after I finished that rum and Coke, I looked at it and it was an estimate of 90 minutes to finish. So I went, fuck, I need another drink. So I had another one. I don't think I should have another one. So now that everything's taken care of and I've gotten everything together, it is of course the wee hours of Sunday morning, and time to show up. I'm showing up, and I'm glad you showed up. I appreciate every single one of you. Do the little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. And I have made the mistake of going on to a guy's talk about games and saying, hey, I have some additional thoughts about games that may be helpful to people who found this helpful. And I mean, I could sum this up fairly easily. So for most of the past week, this has been what I'm thinking. Because, you know, fucking people. The fuck is wrong with people? First of all, I want to talk about like what the guy was talking about. He was saying every game is the same game. Now, I talked about this in my last video. I said, whoa, every game is the same game. That's really fucking cool. That's a neat concept. They're all really the same game. It's a question of breaking them down into mechanics. Okay, but he also talks about this concept called ortho games. And ortho games are an extension of games in general, which I've talked about before. I distinguish between toys and games and ortho games, and there are also meta games and para games and idio games, although I think the people who came up with idio games are trying to find a way to define games I consider toys games, because they don't want to call them toys. I think it's tremendously instructive and meaningful to call them toys, and I find it needlessly obfuscatory to call them idio games. I think it's stupid and pointless and wrong. I'm also not entirely clear on what para games are. Like I've been kind of thinking about it. I think they're trying to go for something that's like a para game is like parasocial. It's not really a game, but it's mostly a game. Like, you know, the game doesn't want to be a game, but it's a game anyway. And I don't know how fucking useful that is. I don't know how fucking useful metagames are. Metagames are just games. The game inside of the game is still a game. The game outside of the game, also still a game. And once you go outside of the game enough times, you stop playing a game and you just have a toy. That's how it works. That's how everything works. And people do not like that. They do not like the idea that some things they think are games are actually toys. And they get unbelievably fucking confused at the notion that all games are toys. Because rules are flexible. Rules are adaptable. If you take any game with any set of rules and you add or remove a single rule, you immediately have a toy. Because what makes a game is that multiple people know the rules. So they can discuss it. When you're talking about playing with a toy, you can articulate to somebody what the toy is, but the rules of playing with that toy don't actually matter to the toy. By articulating the rules of playing with that toy and saying prescriptively, this is how you play with this toy, you've got a person that can go, oh, okay, so we're both going to play with the toy in the exact same way. That's the way that you play with the toy. And now you have a game. Because you're both doing the same thing. It's not yet an ortho game because there's no means of competitive ranking, but you can add one fairly easily. And that's all there is. It's like you can take anything at all. You can say, okay, here's a plastic Easter egg. And what you're supposed to do is throw it in the air and catch it in the other hand. Throw it in the air, catch it in the other hand. You just do that over and over. And every time you do that, well, that's the point. You try to do that as many times as you can. Well, that's a game. You've now created a game. Once you explain those rules to somebody, you've created a game. And that game immediately becomes an ortho game when somebody says, oh, I threw it and caught it more times than you, so I'm better than you. I'm higher in the rankings than you are because I can do it more times in a row. And it's really very simple to turn a toy into a game and to turn a game into an ortho game. And then the ortho game then becomes a meta game fairly easily because you go, look. If you play the game a lot, you don't have to get a high score every time you play the game. You can go for the high score later, just like you can play the game a little, and then you can go and try for a high score to increase your ranking. So you can, in other words, do a bunch of unranked matches to improve your performance in ranked matches. Not a bad idea. I don't know what paragaming would be in that context. I don't know what idio gaming would be in that context. But I think idio gaming is just, this is an egg. I'm going to do a thing with the egg. You can do a thing with the egg. It can be anything you want, but you can do a thing with it. Anything. I think that's what an idio game is, and that's just, I call that a toy. I think it's meaningful to call it a toy, and a lot of people complain and go, how is it useful to call something a toy when other people would call it a game? Because it's not a game. And recognizing that it's not a game will instruct and inform your design and development of the toy in more productive ways. If you try to design and develop a game, well, making something a better game would ruin a toy. The goals of a toy are different. What you want to do with a toy is you want to increase the number of things that you can do with it. You want to make more things possible with the toy. Whereas with a game, it's not so much that you want to make less things possible as that you want the problem space to be something more players can apprehend. You want to reduce the space where things are happening and reduce the number of things that are happening there until the player can understand them. Because if you can't teach somebody how to play your game, like Dwarf Fortress is a great example. I got a friend in Poland, and he really likes Dwarf Fortress. And he really wants me to like Dwarf Fortress. And when I look at Dwarf Fortress, I go, I am sure, absolutely sure, that I will love this game once I understand it and I'm comfortable playing with it and don't have to look shit up anymore. Minecraft is a tremendously complex game when you really get into it, and I love Minecraft. Factorio is an immensely complex game when you get into it. I love Factorio. I haven't played it in a long time. I need to go back and play it. But Dwarf Fortress is an immensely complex game, and I look at it and go, man, if I understood how to play this, I would probably really like it. Now, I personally would argue that Dwarf Fortress has not been designed like a game, but like a toy. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with Dwarf Fortress being a toy. I don't require it to be a game. I actually think toys are better than games, which is weird because most people are like, how dare you call the game I like a toy? Toys are better. I like toys much better than I like games because you can play an infinite number of games with toys. But people get upset. And I had somebody earlier say, nobody has ever called a single-player video game a toy. Actually, in the early 90s, where I got this distinction is that Will Wright said in interview after interview after interview that he doesn't really make games. He makes software toys. And every time he makes a new toy, the publisher tells him, you have to make a way to win. How do you win the game? You don't. You play with it. Nobody's going to buy your game unless you can win. It has to be something you can win. He didn't want scenarios in SimCity. He wanted the original SimCity to just be build a city and see what happens. It was the publisher, who was the publisher on SimCity? Was it Broderbund? I think I have SimCity on disc somewhere. I don't feel like looking for it. But the publisher made him add scenarios to SimCity so you had win conditions and loss conditions, so it was a game. He made a toy, and the publisher said, no, make it a game. You got to make it a game, or nobody will buy it. Nobody will buy it if it's just a toy. They didn't say toy and game. But then later, he made Sim Earth, and he said, here's Sim Earth. And in Sim Earth, he told the publisher said, well, you have to create a win condition. He said, fuck you. Fuck you. No, I'm not making a win condition. It's just you play and you see what happens. That's it. And Sim Earth flopped. So when he made Sim Ant, they said, remember what we told you. You don't give it a win condition, people won't want to play it, and people won't buy it. And we were fucking right. And he rolled his eyes and went, oh, all right. And he put win conditions in SimAnt, and nobody fucking bought it. And he said, see, it doesn't fucking matter. And then eventually he made the Sims. He talked him into letting him make a game that had no win condition. And it's one of the most popular games of all time. Because toys, as far as I'm concerned, are better than games. Minecraft is a toy. There's a bunch of other games that you could call toys. Factorio has a game aspect in the sense that you're supposed to build a rocket. You don't have to. It's not necessary. Factorio is a toy with a game shoved into the middle of it, and they go, here's a goal for you to pursue. And once you finish that goal, well, you can just keep going. Nothing happens. You don't get to do anything. I don't have the Space Age expansion. I've been thinking about getting it. It looks really cool. But fundamentally, the difference between a toy and a game is you can play a game wrong. And what makes the way you play a game wrong is that somebody else can point out and go, that's wrong. Nobody can tell you that you're doing it wrong if they don't know what you're doing. I like that saying. But if somebody else can look at what you're doing and see whether you're doing it right because they know the rules, that's what makes it a game. This is commonly misunderstood because I'll say, there has to be an agreement between two or more players. And they go, but that would make every single player game a toy. No, it doesn't, because single player games have multiple players. No, they don't. It's a single player game. You're not the only person that has it. Other people have the game. Other people are playing it. They're just not playing together. You have multiple players. It's just not a multiplayer game. And it bakes their fucking heads. They don't understand that when I say player, I mean somebody who could play the game. Just like if you say, I don't know sports, but like if somebody's a football player, they're still a football player when they're not playing, when there's no game scheduled, when they're not presently in the game. They're still a player because they could play. Basketball players are basketball players both on and off the court. Even if you're not playing, you're still a player because you know the rules and you could play on a particular level. And when you get into like competitive ortho games and all of that shit. But meaningfully, the difference between a toy and a game is you can't play with the toy wrong. There's no wrong way to play with the toy. If anybody tells you that's the wrong way to play with that, you go, fuck you, I do what I want. Every game can be converted into a toy. All you got to do is decide that you're going to ignore the rules. And when somebody else says, hey, you're playing it wrong, you say, fuck you, I do what I want. You can make any game into a toy. If other people are playing it at the same time, they're going to be mad at you. And you can get all kinds of interesting things, like you get disagreement about the rules. When you get disagreement about the rules, when you have like two people that are playing by one set of rules and two people that are playing by a different set of rules, and they play together, they're actually playing two different games at the same time. And when they realize that they're playing two different games, one side is going to say, well, you're cheating, to the other side. Because one of the sides is going to have an interpretation of the game that gives them an advantage. And that advantage is going to be seen as cheating by the other person. Nobody was trying to cheat. Nobody meant to cheat, but the other team thinks they're cheating. Like spawn camping. Is spawn camping okay? Like, if you go out to pick up the stuff you're supposed to pick up, and your teammate hangs out back at the spawn point and shoots everybody as soon as they spawn, is that okay, or is it cheating? Some people say it's cheating. Some people say it's perfectly valid gameplay. I don't care. I don't play that kind of games, and one of the reasons I don't play that kind of games is I'm constantly accused of cheating because I come up with an idea, and other people are like, well, that's cheesy. Duh! I mean, the object of this game is I'm supposed to kill you, right? Yeah. So I've found the most efficient way to do that. That works. Yeah, but you're not really playing. This doesn't really take much skill. I don't have much skill. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not very good at this kind of game, so I'm going to use the things that work for me. But it's cheating. It's not cheating if it's not against the rules. Well, I'm going to do that to you. Good luck with that. That's fair. I'm not going to, if you do that to me, I will be annoyed, but I won't get mad at you and say, you're cheating. I'll just stop playing the game with you. That's the correct response when you're playing a game and somebody has a different idea of the rules than you do. Don't play with them anymore. Ask them to abide by your rules. And if they won't abide by your rules, stop playing with them. Easy. Anyway, I should do some art. I was actually thinking about something earlier today. I was looking at the sky, and I was going, you know, the thing is, when you look at the sky has a gradient to it. The depth of the color changes as you go upward in the sky. Now, the problem is, I have always kind of scratched my head, and I've gone, does the sky get lighter as you go toward the horizon, or darker as you go toward the horizon? And I was always very, very confused about this, because sometimes it would look like it went one direction, and other times it would look like it went the other direction, and then I figured it out. And do you want to know what the secret is? The sky is lighter in the part that has the sun in it. I'm an idiot. I'm a fucking idiot. That's really the only question. That's the only question you need to ask. That's all you have to do. You just sit there and you go, where's the sun? Is the sun up here? Okay. So if the sun's up there, then what you need to do is you need to have a light color up on the top, and a darker color down on the bottom, because that's where the sun is. That's how you figure it out. It's not all that difficult. What the fuck is wrong with you? That's all you gotta do. Light where the sun is, dark where the sun's not. That's simple. That easy. That basic. So what if the sun's down here? What if you move the sun? What if you move the sun down here? Oh my God. Well, now, that's pretty simple. Now you're going to have a light sky down here because you're down close to the horizon, and it's probably going to be more. It's probably going to be more in the orange region. You're going to have this kind of light orange because as it gets lower in the sky, you get these longer wavelengths of light, and then as you go higher up, you're going to get this. And get this darker color up here. Then you hit your blender, you just kind of go, yeah. No, let's just blend that upward. Light where the sun is, dark where the sun isn't. That's really all there is to it. That's really it. And I feel like a fucking idiot. Because how goddamn obvious is that? This is the same thing like a couple of years ago. I went to paint a tree and I went, I don't know what a tree looks like. How is that even possible? It's like not only have I been looking at trees my whole life, I have specifically looked at trees and gone, ooh, look at that tree. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's just my observational skills are fucked. And I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, and this is a big maybe. I don't know if this actually holds water for any of you guys, but maybe hearing me say after 7 years, I still have never really looked at the sky and never really paid any fucking attention. Maybe you feel better about realizing that you never looked at cars, or you never looked at foxes, or you don't know what grapes look like. It's this constant fucking journey that you have to go through. And I don't really have a lot of other stuff to say, and I don't really feel like painting, and I've got kind of a headache, but I showed up, and I did some stuff. I did some work. I got some stuff done. I did some discussion. We talked about games. We talked about some other shit. I feel like that's a good enough video. Anyway, again, do the little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. And okay, bye.